books that I have to share with you today. Some of my all-time favorite reads. Now, this video is not genre-based. This is just a bunch of different culmination, should we say, of different books. A lot of them kind of are romance, but I didn't want to label this a romance book because, or I didn't want to label this a romance video, because anyways, semantics, am I right? So, five of my most favorite, coziest reads. My first book I've talked about so many times on this channel. I almost did not want to include it because I've talked about it so many times. Me before you. Love this book. This is my favorite book of all time. This is the book that got me back into reading. Every time I talk about this book, I always say the same thing about this story. This is about Louisa Clark and Will. Louisa is a young girl who loses her job, and she is on the hunt to find a new one. She lives with her family, and they do not have a lot of money. And one day, she goes down to the workforce, and they say that they have a disabled patient that needs a caretaker. But he's grumpy, and he runs off a lot of caretakers just because they can't handle his attitude. And Louisa is like, well, you know what? I need money, so I'm gonna take this job, and I'm gonna make the best of it and make the most out of it. And she meets Will, and come to find out, he is a quadriplegic. I believe that's how you say. He's paralyzed from the neck down from an accident, and he's just a broody, grumpy guy, and he's a little bit insufferable, but Louisa wants to show him the best time and show him that there is more to life, because Will wants to go to another country and have a medical assisted suicide, but Louisa is making it her mission to show him that, just because of his circumstances doesn't mean that he can't still have an amazing life. So she takes him on a journey to do all of these really fun things and just show him a good time. And along the way, they end up catching feelings for each other. Oh my goodness. Just thinking about this story just brings back all of those feelings and everything I felt the first time I read this book. Now, this book is a little bit controversial. I came to find out after I read it, just because a lot of people found it a little bit disrespectful, especially in the disabled community. They said that this book was disrespectful. I did read a bunch of Reddit forums after someone commented that on one of my videos, and I got a lot of mixed reviews regarding this book. Some people, saying it wasn't disrespectful, saying that they were, them handicapped themselves and they didn't mind, and then people saying that it was disrespectful. So use your judgment. I think the author did an amazing job of, portraying someone that is disabled, who is in a wheelchair and has, all of these accommodations and things that come with it. And I don't think she said anything that was distasteful or disrespectful. If anything, it brought a greater light to what someone deals with when they end up in a circumstance So, first book. Second book was the first book I read in 2024. So this is a little bit of a newer read, but this story had such a lasting impact on me. This was such a beautiful story. This is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Poston. Not Boston with a B. Boston with a B. I thoroughly enjoyed this story. This book takes you on a journey of Clementine inherits her aunt's apartment after she passes away. And her aunt always told her these stories about the apartment and how when you walk in, it is taking you 7 years in the past, and just all of these really kooky, funny stories that Clementine never believed. So she ends up inheriting her aunt's apartment, and the one rule that her aunt had was you never ever fall in love in this apartment. You can enjoy it, you can go along with it, but you cannot fall in love. And Clementine is like, you know what, my aunt's so silly, she's just a little crazy. None of that's true, until one day Clementine walks into her apartment. She's coming home from work, and there's a random strange man in her apartment, and he's like, oh, you know, your aunt said that I could stay here for like the summer, I believe it was. She said that I could stay for the summer, and you know, but I didn't know that you were gonna be here. I can leave. And Clementine is just a little confused, and this story takes you along the journey of Clementine and Iwan. That is the name of the guy in the apartment, and just the emotional roller coaster, I would call it, of coming home to find someone in your apartment and come to find out you are talking to them 7 years in the past. And there is just such a switch up that comes with this story, and not that you wouldn't expect it, or not that you wouldn't expect that the lane that the story comes down to with the two characters. But it's so interesting to see how it plays out. This book also does a really amazing job of touching on grief. If you watch my channel for a while, you know I really hate books that have like any sort of like character death or characters dealing with grief, because I just don't feel like authors always write them properly. Sometimes I feel like they write them a little bit cookie cutter, but Ashley Poston does an amazing job of using this book and showing a character going through grief and how to handle it and how the character handles it. So thinking about reading this book for the first time, I just remember how it felt. It is a little bit of a tearjerker in some areas if you're sensitive like me. There's nothing wrong with that at all, trust me. It just is such a feel-good story. It does have a really good ending, and a happy ending, I would say. And the journey of this book is just so amazing. Alrighty, so the next book is definitely, I would have to say, one of my favorite series I've ever read. Top 5 for sure. Oh, just one of the best series. But for the sake of this video, I wanted to only pick one book to show you guys, and it is, could you guess it? To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. Now I know, don't come to me with that. I know this book is YA, loss. But Laura Jean's mother passes away, and she is raised by her dad, and she has two sisters, one older, one younger. Laura Jean is the middle, and Laura Jean writes love letters to every boy that she's ever loved. Now, they've never dated, but she's just had crushes and has loved them, so she writes them all a letter. Well, these letters go missing and end up in the hands of these boys, and that is what this story is about. Laura Jean going through the motions and the embarrassment of having these private letters read. They were never supposed to be sent, they were never supposed to be read, and that's what ends up happening. But the greatest love that she has is Peter Kaczynski, and he ends up getting a note, but he at the same time too ends up finding out about all of the other boys who got notes and is jealous, and he just like is the jock, and every girl loves him and wants him, and Laura Jean is one of those girls, and they have like the greatest like bond, in my opinion, and you discover that through this book. But this book in particular, this whole series actually really takes you back to being in high school and having a crush, and talking to your friends and telling them, and just everything that those days hold, those high school, middle school days. And that's what makes me love this book so much. It just transports me back. Now, granted, I never had to deal with the situation in school quite like Laura Jean, but you still remember how it feels to be in school and discovering yourself and discovering crushes and maybe even dating somebody, especially in high school, and that feeling just comes back to you in this book. And I think for me, I love this series so much because like I never really had that experience in high school. I never even dated anybody, but I definitely had crushes, but I wasn't like cool or wasn't popular, and I definitely like at that time didn't find myself pretty or like attractive. So I get to kind of like live that experience through Laura Jean, and that makes my little middle school, high school heart just so happy. Okay, we're down to our last two. The next one is definitely a cozy read, but to me, it is the most emotional book that I decided to add to this little list. Can you guess what it is? I have talked about it before, obviously. A Man Called Ove. Now, this book wrecked me. This story wrecked me so fucking hard, and I was not expecting it at all. I actually didn't really know what to expect when I had purchased this book. I just know that people had been talking about it, and it was turned into a movie called A Man Called Otto. I don't even know why I had to look, I already knew. And that is literally all I knew about it. So, A Man his own life. He misses his wife. He hates his neighbors, and he's just over living. Like, he doesn't have a job. He doesn't have anything to live for. He's ready to be with his wife again. And every time that Ove goes to make an attempt, he ends up being interrupted. His neighbors are across the street are like moving in, and they end up like running into, like, pulling the moving van into his yard and like wrecking his yard, and he has to show them how to back up pretty much a U-Haul. And his neighbor falls off the roof and like breaks his leg, and he has to take him to the hospital because the wife is from a different country and she can't drive, and she's pregnant, and they have 2 little girls. And he's just so annoyed and put out that by the time the story progresses, he is just taking on so many, what I like to call, side quests, that he puts off his attempts to take his own life, pretty much. And he just becomes engrossed in like showing people how to do shit, pretty much. Just very much old men side quest. And when it comes down to it, he realizes that his wife isn't here anymore, but he has just made so many other connections with his neighbors. This book very much is found family. Found family. And that just makes me love this story so much. It's just an incredible story. It is very, very heavy. It is a very heavy story. It is an emotional roller coaster, an emotional train wreck. This book took me places I've never been before. I cried so hard reading this story. I cried so hard when I finally watched the movie, because I got to see everything that I read come to fruition and just play out in front of my eyes. I cried. I've never felt so strongly reading a story besides Me Before You, but that book was very different. It made me feel in a very different way, but this just made me feel so many things. Last but not least, I saved the best for last. If you are a returner to this channel, you will know probably what the last book is, what the coziest read. My fingers cracked. I'm trying to see if I can crack them again. I can't. You will know what the coziest read is. Any guesses? Probably not if you're new here. Legends and Lattes. I love this book. I talk about this book so much. I've talked about it any chance I could since I read it. This is a fantasy. This is Legends on Lattes by Travis Baldree. Like I said, this book is a fantasy. It is about Viv. She is an orc, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, and she lives pretty much a life of like crime. She does bounties on other like mystical creatures that need to be caught, and she is tired. She's tired of living this life and always on the move. She wants to find the place where she belongs. So one day she decides that she's moving to the city of Thune. She wants to live an honest life. She wants to live a normal life. So she's moving to the city of Thune, and she wants to open a coffee shop. She wants to open the eyes of the other people who live in the city, because through her travels she got to discover what coffee was. So she's like, you know what, I'm gonna make a difference in their lives. I'm gonna do something a little bit different that nobody's ever done before, and I'm going to introduce I could have sworn